Rachel Makes. Today we're going to make vegetable stew and dumplings. Meat is really expensive. I think decent meat's really expensive anyway. So quite often we opt for vegetarian options instead in this house. So basically I'm going to show you how to make a really warming stew and dumplings, and you won't even miss the meat. Well, not much. I'll show you what I'm going to use. Basically you can use what you like, but I'm going to use a stick of celery and an onion. I think it's good to include celery and onion, or at least something oniony like leek, because that gives it lots of flavour. Part of a huge courgette or marrow. The last bit of a huge squash as well that I've been using. Some sweet corn, some carrots, a can of tomatoes, a vegetable stock cube, and for the dumplings, self-raising flour, vegetable suet. You could use beef suet if you wanted to, and of course we need some salt and pepper. I'm going to start by chopping up all of the vegetables which need chopping up. Obviously that doesn't include the sweet corn. Really for this you can use whatever you like. If you had parsnips and swede, that would be fantastic. You could even put potatoes in. If you wanted to, you could put a can of chickpeas in, or a can of kidney beans, whatever you like. The main thing is that this is actually really cheap and really healthy, and it just makes it feel like much more of a proper dinner if you've got the dumplings with it as well. Is just start to cook the things which are going to take longer, which generally speaking are the harder vegetables. So the celery, the carrots and the onions, I'm going to pop them in the pan. I've got literally a couple of teaspoons of vegetable oil in here, I mean hardly any, and I'm going to put a little bit of salt in these because that stops them from browning, because we don't want them to brown, because then that will give our stew a kind of a rancid flavour, and definitely we don't want that to happen. So we're going to pop a lid on this and let these sweat for a little while. Okay, so these vegetables are kind of slightly softened now. So what we're going to do is add the courgette and the squash. I've got about 2 kilos of vegetables here in total. As I say, you can use whatever you like, whatever you have to hand, or whatever you need to use up, absolutely fine. And you can always halve the quantities if you prefer. Going to mix this through, and this squash and courgette obviously will kind of go down in volume huge amounts because it's very, very watery as a vegetable. Okay, so we're going to add the sweet corn. This is lovely and colourful. I decided to put a little bit of dried tarragon in here, so you could put some mixed herbs of some sort if you like. Pop the tomatoes. Okay, the stock cube. Okay, and some salt and pepper. Plenty of pepper. A little bit of salt, because remember you've added salt before. You can always add a bit more, but you can't take it away. Okay, give that a stir together. And what we're going to do is add a little bit of water to this from a kettle. So just enough to just sort of come up level with the vegetables there. Okay. So I'm going to stick a lid on this and leave it, I would say, for about 20-25 minutes. Everything won't be properly cooked through by then, but it will need to have a little bit more cooking once we do the dumplings. So this has had 20 minutes simmering time. The vegetables are still slightly firm, but that's fine because they're going to have some more cooking when the dumplings go in. I'm going to taste it to see if it needs anything. I think that needs just a little bit of pepper actually. If you wanted to, you could put some chilli or something in this if you liked that sort of heat. Personally, I like it as it is. It's so colourful. This is a really restorative thing to eat. It's fantastic for students actually. You can save your money not going to the takeaway, so you've got it for more important things like beer and books, of course. Okay, so we've reached the stage of being able to make our dumplings now. So what we've got is 100 grams of self-raising flour and 50 grams of vegetable suet, or you could use beef suet if you want to. Now I say 100 grams, but as you can see it's sort of half vegetable suet to flour. So if you wanted to use cups, that's fine. It would just be 1 cup of flour and half a cup of vegetable suet. Okay, so we're going to put that in a bowl. Put a little bit of salt and pepper in as well. If you wanted to, you could put some herbs in with it as well. Mix it round with a knife. So it's always easier with any kind of pastry to try and stir it with a knife rather than a spoon. And then we've got some cold water. We're just going to gradually add little bits of water. Now, making anything with suet is far easier actually than trying to make short crust pastry or anything like that. If you find you've made the mixture too wet, just add a little bit more flour. Don't worry about it. It's much more forgiving than a short crust pastry. And what we're going to do when we've mixed all of this up is roll it into little balls ready to go into our stew. And you don't have to have dumplings with the stew if you don't want to, but actually it just makes it much more of a substantial meal. There we are. So as you can see, this isn't a thing of beauty, is it? But it will be lovely once it's in the stew. Now I'm actually going to take my rings off for once and have a little bit of forethought. Normally I get them all clogged up with a mixture. Okay, so it depends how big you want the dumplings to be. A little bit of flour on my hands. And how many people you want to stretch them to. But, you know, you could make 4 huge ones if you wanted to. Or several little ones. I'm going to go for little ones. I'm not getting them very even in size. It doesn't matter too much for this actually. It's lucky, isn't it? I'm not always the most precise of people, so things like this suit me very well. Okay. If you find your hands getting sticky, just put a little bit of flour on them. Actually, dumplings like this are fantastic for serving with things like vegetable soup as well. And coincidentally, I've actually made a video about making vegetable soup, so there you go. It'd be great if you were to catch up on that. There we are. Okay, so those are now ready to drop into our simmering stew. Okay, so our stew's simmering away. What I'm going to do is pop these dumplings in, and these will be delicious because what they'll do is they'll grow and they'll, as they cook, and they'll soak up lots of this sauce, and they're really lovely. Okay, so now we're going to pop the lid on and leave them for 20 minutes to simmer away in the stew, and then they'll be ready. Okay, so these dumplings are cooked now. They've been cooking for 20 minutes in a simmering stew with the lid on. And if you want to tell if they're cooked or not, just stab one of them with a knife, and if it comes out clean, then they're ready. Okay, so this was Rachel Makes. I'm Rachel. I hope you found this useful. I hope you make it and enjoy it. If you liked this video, please subscribe if you'd like to see more. If you have any comments to make, please make them. I'd love to hear them. Nice ones, please. Bye-bye.